My name is Abramson. I'm the Vice President for Strategic Engagement at the National Armaments Consortium. Where in this consortium, we collaborate, we innovate, and we dominate. Today, we're back for another series of discussions with some thought leaders that have been attending and participating in our first and our inaugural Advanced Weapons Technology Summit, currently here in Huntsville, Alabama. This summit has been awesome. We've had over 700 registrants. We're going to have 60 government briefed requirements at the tune of about $4.5 billion worth of opportunities within the government, working within the government. And right now I have the privilege and the honor, today we're going to be chatting with one of the thought leaders that just came off the stage, just finished giving his speech, and today is Mr. Ashley Johnson. Mr. Johnson, he's the Technical Director for the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Indian Head Division in Indian Head, Maryland. Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us today.
Great pleasure to be here, Al.
Thanks. You had a very powerful speech. It really was good. I think you had folks on the edge of their seat, and by the end, you could see the folks lined up to kind of have secondary conversations with you. But before we get started, I just wanted to get your overall impression of this first Advanced Weapons Technology Summit where we brought everyone together for the first time. Your thoughts about it?
I think it's fantastic. That's probably not a unique response, but it's certainly a genuine one. I like to see the energy. I said during the speech, there's definitely a wave that we're all trying to catch, and it's apparent to me that that's what's going on here, right? Yeah. And that's a good thing because you want to take advantage of the interest and the attention when it's there. So it's nice to see the volume. It's also, I think, nice to see the diversity, right, sure, of the companies that are here. Sure. Some of the things you might expect, some things that you stop for a second and say, wow, I hadn't really thought about that. That's great too. Yeah. So I'm very pleased with it, and I'm looking forward to us just being able to duplicate this to gain that sense of true collaboration.
Yeah. So one of the things, it talks about the strategic message, right? So what is the strategic message that you wanted to kind of bring forth or reinforce to the folks that are going to be watching this? So you talked about willful intent. Yeah. I wrote that down. That was pretty good strategic imperatives. But is there a message and something that you talked about today that you wanted to reinforce?
I really do. The simple message that I try to provide for our folks, certainly at Indian Head, but for the community is, we need to outpace our adversaries. Yeah. We can discuss, who those adversaries might be, but it almost doesn't matter. Yeah. The fact of the matter is that many adversaries have caught us with regard to their capabilities. And that's easy to do when you're in a race and you're staring at someone's back. You chase them down, and they have sort of chased us down. So the way for us to improve our comparative advantage is to outpace them. So it's a simple idea, but we all have to own that, right? Correct. And truly collaborate in order to generate advantage for our warfighters. And that's the strategic message. We need to generate that space and generate that advantage again because we've kind of gotten used to owning a lead and we just don't have that lead anymore.
Yeah. So some of the things that you talked about of closing that gap, if you will, you talked about some of the challenges, and I have a frame of mind of developing a capability for the warfighter, and you put it I like your terminology of whatever it is, it's really the terminal effect that we're trying to achieve. Right. That terminal effect is connected to what you have at Indian Head in terms of the capability that you have there. Yeah. And it's all connected. And so from that, as an arsenal and depot, which by the way is a very hard thing to achieve, that's not an easy feat, as part of that critical infrastructure, as we create better terminal effects that we're trying to achieve, what are some of the challenges from your perspective that may be out there that might be stopping you from getting there?
Well, I think one of the things that we're trying to do right now, the biggest challenges for us is to address our capacity. Right? Yeah. The capacity for us to produce what we want and what we own as systems, call them legacy or what have you. That's first and foremost. I mean, that's right in our windscreen of what we're trying to address. But right behind it, and almost at the same time, is that's not necessarily state of the art anymore. Sure. So how do we generate the ideas of the next generation of whatever the case may be, range or speed or terminal effects or signature management or safety? What's the next idea and how we do those things together, right? Because we can't afford to be pretty serial in this nature. Correct. So that's the challenge. How do we balance that? And this is what's great about this environment, is that there's so many new ideas that can come into this to address not only the items, but also the methods, the techniques, the tactics, the manufacturing technology, what have you. All of that can come together. And that's what I'm talking about in my speech, about us unifying around an outcome, which is to outpace the adversaries. And you say, in what? In everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. 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 So I think I know the answer to this one, because you talked about it a little bit during the speech in terms of collaboration, right? We don't just want to collaborate to have crumpets. You use the word crumpets, but some thoughts about the power of collaboration, of bringing government, industry, and academia together in venues like this. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, certainly in venues like this, it's definitely the exchange of ideas and perspective. So many of us, at least, you know, if you've been in this business a while, you sort of get a little bit, you know, one speak, or you just sort of get trained in what you're used to. So I like the shake you up a little bit aspect of it. But I also think the advantages that you gain from these perspectives really allow us to keep generating these opportunities. And what I mean by that is, if we don't use the privileges and the authorities and the statutes and the methods that Congress or others have given us, then they lose attention, they lose interest, if you will, and they can look at us and say, well, you're not using what we gave you. So, so the opportunity here is for us to exercise all those tools,
absolutely.
right? And now that gives a genuine response back to our leaders, saying, hey, these guys are serious, and they're really going to use this stuff. So the power of this engagement, I think, is to show those that are trying to help us that we're using what you gave us, right? And that'll generate more.
And creating outcomes that we're looking for.
That's right.
So one, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights and some additional thoughts. Very powerful speech. I think from the speakers that we've had, one of the more most riveting ones that we've had thus far. So we appreciate that. To those that are out there that have joined us, thank you for joining us. Please go to the National Armaments Consortium website or join us on our LinkedIn site. And be sure to follow us. If you have any questions, just reach out to us and we'll try to get those questions answered. On this end, collaborate, innovate, and dominate. Thank you, Mr. Ashley Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it.